What is going on, Outlaws? Once again, Michael or Legacy Kill HD back today with another Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead 3, or if you just want to call it the next Red Dead game video for you. And today I thought we'd discuss some of the things that a lot of us want to see in this upcoming title once again. But as of late, there's not been much to report on. Obviously, Rockstar Games, tightly sealed, nothing coming from them. But there has been a handful of leaks and reports coming out in the last couple of weeks, so make sure you guys check out those videos if you have not already. There should be a link in the description and an annotation on the screen. A ton of information about this upcoming game. But don't lose the hype, guys, because this game is coming. It's just how Rockstar Games likes to operate for some reason. They like to be very silent about anything with their game, then they make the huge splash with the announcement and more than likely the trailer coming with it. But to our first topic of the day, that is GTA 6 coming before this upcoming Red Dead game, and that is ludicrous. I just want to point that out because I've seen a lot of comments, a lot of people getting on that hype train. I blame a lot of other YouTubers and even some of these BS websites. But in all honesty, there really isn't any evidence pointing to that coming anytime soon, and even some of the recent news of a possible GTA 4 remaster coming soon, that points to this GTA 6 not coming anytime in the near future, so don't expect to see that. And again, there's already a ton of evidence that is stacking up that this Red Dead game could be announced in the next couple of weeks. It's not really a question of if, it's more of a question of when now. But moving right along to our next topic, and that is John Marston's past and how that could be incorporated in this upcoming Red Dead game. A lot of the time I read through the comments and I see a lot of comments about John Marston's dad or his family, how they could be incorporated, but a lot of them don't understand who John Marston was before the events of Red Dead Redemption. John was born in 1873. His father was an illiterate Scottish immigrant and his mother was a prostitute who passed during his birth. His father was blinded in both eyes during a bar fight south of Chicago, and in 1881 John's father was supposedly killed in a bar fight. John was only 8 years old and he was sent into an orphanage where he lived his teenage years. So to the question if John Marston's father could be the main character of this upcoming game, it seems very unlikely, just seeing that his father was nowhere near the person that John Marston ended up being. And after John was put in this orphanage, he ended up escaping and somehow fell into Dutch's gang, and this is how he ended up meeting Abigail and obviously some of the other members such as Bill Williamson and Javier Escuela. And obviously the biggest influence that came was Dutch, and he taught John how to shoot, hunt, gather, read, and how to survive in the West, which in a lot of ways is why it was so hard for John to end up fulfilling that mission within Red Dead Redemption of killing him, and ultimately he's lucky that he actually didn't have to. And again, the reason why I say that is because Dutch was a father figure to John, and at one point John did respect the ideology that Dutch had, which was take from the wealthy and give to the poor, but as time went on, it seems like John learned that the way he was living life was not the way he wanted to live. And after the events of 1906 where he's left for dead after a robbery, that pretty much sets up for his future. And he takes Abby, Jack, and an unknown daughter of his to Beecher's Hope to start a ranch. But I know a lot of you out there may have not known that John did end up having a daughter. Between 1906 and 1911, she ended up dying. We have no idea how old she was, if she was a baby, if she was maybe a teenager. John never really talks about her, which is definitely interesting. I think a lot of people expected Rockstar Games maybe to go down that avenue, maybe explain a little bit more, but they never did. But there is a chance in this upcoming game, if it is placed in the late 1890s or early 1900s, we could get more background on John and Abigail, maybe their relationship, and maybe we see this daughter. We figure out exactly what happened. I'm definitely sure Rockstar Games could do some crazy things with that. And I think in all honesty, a lot of us don't expect to see John as the main character of this upcoming game, but a lot of us expect to see some type of cameo from him. And then everything else that happens is obviously in 1911 and the events of Red Dead Redemption. Now to our next topic, and that is why a prequel. Why would Rockstar Games want to go backwards and why not go forward? And I've discussed this in the past with Jack Marston, because if you move forward with Jack's story, maybe you move to the 1920s, the biggest problem we're going to run into is it's going to become more of an LA noir game. And I get there's some fans out there that are used to GTA games, you want to see cars, you want to see less horses, but that's not what Red Dead's about. And in terms of story, this is not about the Marston family. Obviously the first installment was Red Dead Revolver and it was about Red Harlow, and then it followed 6 years later with the spiritual successor Red Dead Redemption, and that was about John Marston. And moving forward, the next installment's probably going to be a completely new character, but hey, there's always a chance that we get Landon, which is a guy that we really don't know much about except for what happens in Red Dead Redemption, and the killing of the Butcher brothers in 1896 and the infamous Blackwater Massacre of 1899. But back to the question of why a prequel. If you go to the past, there's so much lore and so much American history that Rockstar Games can influence the game on, and such as some of the notable real outlaws that I've discussed in the past, such as Billy the Kid, Jesse James, Doc Holliday, and John Wesley Hardin, and many more. And that's not to mention some of the historical moments that we know of, such as the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, obviously the Civil War, Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders in the Battle of San Juan Hill, and so much more. Rockstar Games has a lot of events that they could draw inspiration from during this period of time. And as I've said in the past many times, Red Dead Redemption was about the dying West, and this upcoming game could be about the peak of the West, which again could bring a lot of conflict and a lot of fun for us gamers. And now down to into our last topics of the day, and that is some of the things that you guys want to see in this upcoming game, and the first one being a first-person point of view. Now, some of you may already know that within GTA 5 on PS4, Xbox One, and I believe PC, this first-person view came to be. And personally myself, I prefer the third-person point of view from any Rockstar game, but hey, it's one of those things that I'm sure there's a lot of gamers out there that are used to Call of Duty, Battlefield, and so on, other FPS games, and they want to play from this, and I'm sure Rockstar Games will once again be adding this. Should it be in the game? I don't necessarily think it needs to be, but hey, if they're trying to attract other people out there, other gamers, this is definitely the way to be, make it a little bit more of an open choice. And I also want to note that if this does come to be, just don't expect the game necessarily to be centered towards that point of view, because obviously it seemed within GTA 5 it was made for that third person. When that FPS came out, when you did certain types of actions like driving cars, it felt kind of out of place in certain ways. So again, I think that may be the similar case within this next Red Dead game. And to the last topic, that is environmental factors, something that Rockstar Games has had present in a lot of their past games. But I don't necessarily mean some of the basic environmental things that happen, such as rain, thunderstorms, snow, but I kind of mean to the extreme where we see tornadoes and maybe even hurricanes. And why do I say this? Because the game is going to be east and it's going to be taking place in a lot of Louisiana and parts of Florida, which definitely could be a chance that we may be seeing some type of hurricane occur in this game. And that's not to mention some of the other parts that come from this leaked map, such as it seems like this game could be taking place in parts of Arkansas, which again, we could be getting tornadoes happening there, and there's other elements that could be included, such as dust storms. There's a lot of dynamic weather that I think a lot of us would love to see within the story and the overall game. Anyway, Outlaws, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you let me know in the comments what your thoughts on the topics that I discussed today. Also, don't forget to smack that like button if you did enjoy the video or found any informative value, and subscribe for a lot more additional Red Dead content to come. And remember, don't lose hope, because this title is coming soon, and I'll see you later.